So, what do you guys want to talk about?
You can call this the New World Order of Wrestling, brother. Put out the caution tape. Put out the orange cones. Acknowledge me.
It's Thursday, and you know what that means. I'm Boris Aguilar, welcoming you to the newest wrestling radio show here in Canada, A+ Wrestling. We are brought to you by Barbarian Bar Fitness. At Barbarian Bar Fitness, our mission is to empower trainers, coaches, athletes, and fitness enthusiasts by providing innovative, versatile equipment that enhances performance and impact. Their products are designed to adapt to the needs of every athlete, helping them achieve greater success at any level. To look up their products, all you need to do is go to barbarianbarfitness.com. This show is part of the A+ Productions and A+ Wrestling Podcast Network, and as of Monday, June 16th, we can be heard right here on KPHR Radio. That is right, we are back on the radio here on KPHR Radio, and we will be heard every single Monday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern, starting June 16th. Huge thanks to KPHR and everyone for supporting us, because we are back. And just remember, we're more than just a weekly radio show. We actually have a slew of shows for you each and every week over on the A+ Productions Podcast Network. We talk about sports, entertainment, and we bring it all together to talk sports entertainment, also known as wrestling. You can find us on any podcasting platform as A+ Productions. But if you really just want to listen to our wrestling content, you can do so by searching for A+ Wrestling. And remember to hit subscribe, and once you've listened to a bit of our episodes, leave a review. It really helps us. As I mentioned, I'm your host, Boris, and well, I've been watching wrestling for most of my life. I've been watching wrestling for 37 years, and well, I live in Toronto, and I'm a Latino, so I focused mainly on WWE, but I've also watched a lot of AAA and CMLL here in Canada. We got some AAA wrestling over on TLN on that network, and well, I remember one of my first exposures to WCW was actually the original Worlds Collide pay-per-view that happened way back when in 1994. Feels like a lifetime ago, but I'm a lifelong fan of professional wrestling. I've been podcasting for 10 years. I've done wrestling radio shows already in the past, but this time I am doing it on my own with my best friends, with a great group of people, and we are here to be positive about what can be a very negative world of professional wrestling, especially when it comes to the fandom, but just like any fandom. But that's why we are a breath of fresh air, because we are sure to be positive. And, well, we know what we're talking about. So that is us here on A+ Wrestling. Really looking forward to spending each and every single Monday with all of you. But remember, we do have that podcast network. So go over to your favorite podcasting app and search for A+ Productions or A+ Wrestling and hit that subscribe. On today's show, we are having tons of discussions, and I'm going to bring some friends over as we have our weekly roundtable. And on this week's roundtable, we're going to be talking about the WWE cuts, releases, end of contracts, whatever you want to call them. We're going to also be talking about some debuts that happen on NXT, and we're going to be talking about AEW's build-up to All In, because that show is looking to be AEW's WrestleMania, and with the 3 matches already announced, man, they are looking huge. And then later on in the show, WWE has not one but 2 shows on Saturday, as they have their WWE NXT AAA Worlds Collide show and their yearly Money in the Bank pay-per-view. We're going to be previewing both of those shows later on the show here on KPHR Radio. But before all of that, I think it's time to take a short break. But when we come back, I'm going to be joined by some friends, some familiar voices, and we're going to be talking on the round table about the week that was and the week that is coming up for pro wrestling. Leave it dialed in here on KPHR Radio, and remember that you're listening to A+ Wrestling.
This is Joseph Vendetti from Barbarian Bar Fitness, your source for Canadian-made functional fitness equipment built for the grind. Pro wrestling doesn't take an off-season. It's 52 weeks of punishing work in and out of the ring. That's why we designed versatile, battle-tested gear to help you train harder, recover smarter, and stay ready for the spotlight. Our mission? To empower wrestlers, coaches, and athletes with equipment that elevates your performance and amplifies your impact. Visit barbarianbarfitness.com and unleash your potential.
I spit in the face of people who don't want to be cool. You know what cool is?
And we are back here on KPHR Radio, and you're listening to A Plus Wrestling. Here we are talking about all things professional wrestling for the week that was and the weekend coming up, because it is going to be a very busy weekend in the world of WWE. But before we get there, let me introduce you to my partners in crime, my co-hosts, my friends, my so many things. Here we are every week. What we like to do here on A Plus Wrestling is we like to get various opinions. And, well, for that, we have a round table. So on this week's round table, I am joined by my longtime co-partner, my podcasting partner, my friend, Matthew Ederer. Matt, how's it going?
Yes, Boris, thank you for having me. Your hetero life partner, the silent Bob to your silent Bob. I'm well, man. Yeah, just a little bit about myself. My name is Matthew Ederer. I grew up in Sudbury, Ontario, now live in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Have been watching wrestling for a very long time. I am a very old man. Started watching when I was 3 years old in 1990. Stopped for a little bit in the Chris Benoit era, but I'm back with flying colors now, and I'm excited to be here. Honored to be here. Thank you very much for having me. Big homie.
Anytime, my friend. That's a voice they're going to be hearing very, very often here on A Plus Wrestling. And this next voice, well, he's been podcasting for 10 plus years, and he has so much to say about in the world of anime, video games, and so much more. And, well, we used to talk all things AEW. He is Daxavier Josiah. Dax, how's it going?
I am doing quite fine. I'm also known as Boris's side piece. Sorry, Matt. But but basically, as a part of the crew that I step into every once in a while, I've been a wrestling fan since I'm about to age myself, 1986.
There you go.
The era of NWA, the Crockett era. My first ever live event was, and I remember vividly seeing Nikita Koloff versus Tully Blanchard, and it's been like ongoing since. Much like Matt, I did stop during the Ted Turner era and came back during the ECW era. I am from Philly after all, so came back and then off and on. Depends on the situation, but nonetheless, have my love for wrestling since. And I'm glad to be here to talk about more of it.
Absolutely, I love it. And we are an international roundtable because all the way from the UK, we have Paul Yorke, a.k.a. Yorkie. How's it going?
Yeah. Hello, I am Paul. I am the one just lurking in the corner, watching quietly while these three get it on. I'm a lifelong wrestling fan. I've been watching. I haven't been watching as long as Daxavier, but I have been watching longer than Matt. I've been watching since 1988. But the WWF era, not the NWA. We didn't get the NWA in England. But I also like the World of Sport era. But like these two, 97, 98, I stopped for a couple of years, but then did get back into it. And I'm Boris's third partner, but we don't say nothing.
Damn it, Boris.
There we go. That's how we do here on A Plus Wrestling here on KPHR Radio. All right, gentlemen, we are tons to talk about. Not only are we going to be previewing Money in the Bank and Worlds Collide later, but right now we have tons of business to get into because, well, in the world of business, sometimes people get let go. And that's exactly what happened last weekend. Much to the surprise of everybody, 17 years on the job. And thank you. Goodbye. R-Truth was let go after 17 years of service. This person has been a soldier for the WWE under the Vince era and the TKO era. And, well, that is it. He is gone. Let's talk about that first. I want to talk about R-Truth. And for that, I'm going to talk to Matt. Matt, when you saw this, was it just me, or did you honestly think it was a joke at first?
Yeah, I was hoping it was a bit like when Luka Doncic got traded and everyone thought Shams got hacked. I was hoping it was a hack situation, but sadly, R-Truth appears to be gone. WWE is a soulless corporation, man. It is what it is, but I think you see the impact that R-Truth had in his coworkers tweeting out loving tributes to this guy. I was a huge R-Truth fan. How could you not be? If you have a beating heart in your chest, you love this guy. He was so funny. When he turned heel briefly, it was smoke and darts and beating down John Morrison and John Cena. One of my favorite random heel turns. I'm sure if Truth wants to continue in wrestling, he will find a place somewhere. But it is a big loss for WWE and just like a kick in the pants for longtime fans. This one hurts, doesn't it, fellas?
It really
Absolutely.
does.
Agreed.
It really does. Dax, your thoughts, and what were your first thoughts when you heard the news that R-Truth was let go? Actually, let me clear that up. He wasn't let go. They let the contract expire. I think that's something very important to note.
That is absolutely correct. I mean, like you gentlemen, I was totally surprised. I didn't think it was a rib. I'm used to stuff like this. I mean, they've let go people that just made us like scratch our heads before, but this one, he was a mainstay. I mean, the career he's had for years, dating back to remember his debut with Road Dogg with that tag team, and you never thought that this dude was going on the way he did, and he left the company before, went to TNA, tag team with Pac-Man Jones for some damn reason, and just had a very biography like career. I would say he had some significant things going on. His career with WWE is very interesting to say the least. I mean, we loved him no matter what Vince put him through, and I always hated the Pretty Ricky segments or whatever like that. That's a whole nother story, but he stuck to it, and I hear that Vince McMahon loved him nonetheless. I don't know for what reason or what the intentions were, but he was there for the longest time, and even in his smaller parts, in his smaller roles, he made a big impact on people. Like, he was very much a mascot character for this company, and I'm seeing that they're feeling it. They're feeling it, and they're going to feel it for a while. It's just ironic that we're hearing we want truth around CM Punk segments. Right? The irony of that is just crazy. I think he caught on to that as well. But yeah, he'll be missed in there, but I don't think it's the last we'll see of him.
I agree with you. I think this is only the beginning. Again, as Matt mentioned, if he wants to continue, he will be able to. You know that there's probably a lucrative deal in Jacksonville, Florida, waiting for him.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anyone that can make, turd work, it is R-Truth. Paul, I want to ask you about the whole, Dax brought it up. Vince McMahon loved him. That's a name we can't really say when we talk about wrestling, but Vince McMahon loved this guy. Would this have happened under Vince's watch?
No. Vince would have kept him. If he wasn't going to be used as an on-screen character, I think he would have kept him in a role backstage, because I think I can't remember who it was that posted about it. It was something about loyalty. He's loyal to his men, and he would have kept him backstage. And obviously, with him being there 20 plus years, I think a transition into a producer or something backstage wouldn't have been a bad thing. I think they could have waited a bit longer.
Yeah,
to announce it.
Agreed
100%. And let's talk about the morale, right? Like that's one of the biggest things, because right now morale must be changing. I can only imagine how it was backstage on Raw and how it's going to be in a little bit on SmackDown. The morale is huge. That gives you, and that really sets the stage for how good your company is going to do. And essentially TKO has now said anyone is on the chopping block. Doesn't matter whether you've been here a month or 20 plus years. Anyone is on the chopping block. Matt, thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's it. It's not going to be good for morale. That is a great call on your part. It's just one of those things though. Like, you know, the game when you sign up, when you sign on that dotted line with WWE, you know the game. This is a $1 billion traded company. It's not a mom and pop shop anymore. And this is the kind of thing that does happen, sadly. But it is a reminder to wrestlers: work hard, save your money, get out with your health and hopefully some wealth. But it is a kick. It is definitely not just to fans, but to the people backstage. It's gotta be hard. But the machine keeps going on, you know?
That's exactly it, right? That is exactly it. Paul, you want to say something? What's up?
I'm just wondering if, obviously Triple H has some say backstage, and the word is that apparently he had the final say on the 3 that were let go. But do you think he may? I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe as Devin's like, do you think he's been told he has to by TKO, or he was like, yeah, I see.
Let me tell you about that, right? Like, I worked in big corporations. All they tell you is let go of X amount of people. Sometimes sometimes you don't, you get a list and you have zero say. I can tell you from experience, when I was let go from BlackBerry, the reason why I was let go was because I was at a certain level with a certain title. It had nothing to do with my performance. It had nothing to do with my pay. It had nothing to do with anything except for I was on a ledger, and I was worth too much to keep around for the future. And that's the reality of, as Matt said, this enterprise feeling that WWE is now. It's not a mom and pop shop anymore. That's the unfortunate part, right? So Triple H, I'm sure, has some say to a certain extent. Nick Khan, I'm sure, has some say to a certain extent. But there's a board that has the full say. And that's the thing, that's the new era of WWE. That is this TKO era where it's everything, it comes down to profit. Dax.
Actually, I'm a piggyback with what you said in terms of how corporations work. It's not just a WWE thing. That is the natural practice and common practice of all organizations and corporations and conglomerates and everything. It is. We are numbers. I too worked in corporate, like it both for profit and nonprofit for the course of over a decade. And trust me when I tell you, some of the offices I worked at reminded me of WCW in their heyday. It was like we were producing thunder in some case. But the atmosphere, the morale, as you guys were talking about, yeah, it's there. When you get rid of somebody that is like, that kind of is the reason why you want to come to work, that makes work a little bit better, and then they're gone, it takes away. I've had that happen to me before in so many different ways. I felt like once that person's gone, I'm not going to be protected or something of that nature. But this is the means. A lot of times it could be based on financial, it could be political, it could be a lot of things. But like at the end of the day, this is why I feel like I'm retired from wanting to work corporate ever again, because you're going to get paid something. You're going to get paid more than the norm. I can't speak for your regions, but I can speak for here in the U.S. Like, you're going to get paid like above the norm, but it doesn't feel like. And I hate when they say we're a family. That is my favorite thing that I hate people saying. But yeah, I mean, the reality is like we're just numbers to them, and that's, you got to understand that. When I left my job, I knew that there was going to be changes happening. And I was like, I'm out. I'm not letting them cut me because they merged the companies and regions together. I'm like, I'm done. So yeah, I'm not surprised at any of this. It has happened before.
Absolutely.
And will happen again.
Let's also add the fact that Sarah Logan and Carlito were also, quote unquote, let go this week. And I say quote unquote because, again, they were informed that their contracts would not be renewed. And that's a big, again, to me, that language is very different from being released. Matt, you and I had this discussion a few weeks ago over on the A+ Productions, A+ Wrestling Network, and we were talking about releases versus letting the contract expire. And I'm going to ask you again, because this is now the second time in as many weeks or as many months that we've seen releases / contracts running out. Which do you think is better? And really, is any of them better for PR and optics?
Slightly, I would say, and it is an important distinction to make, Boris. But I would say just by a hair, it is better to let a contract run out, because there is that ego blow of getting fired. No matter what job it is, no matter what reason you are given, it hurts to be fired. And this isn't quite a firing. This is we're going in a separate direction. But these changes are inevitable in WWE for many reasons. One, they brought in a lot of new talent recently, and two, they have a very fine machine going in NXT, Evolve. LFG is now a thing. All these NIL deals. They have a wealth of talent. They have so many bodies on the roster now. There's going to have to be some people let go on the top end in the main roster. So I think this is just going to be kind of the vibe of WWE going forward. This kind of seems like the new normal.
And that's a scary part. Is this the new normal? Is this a smart way to do business? Because we know how notorious the internet wrestling community could be. Paul, what are your thoughts?
I'm just wondering if these crowd chants get bigger and bigger over the weeks. Would Triple H get in the ear of the board and say, look, can we bring him back on a short-term reduced because obviously they're all about saving money. That's what the company do. They don't want to spend as much money. So if they could renegotiate a short-term contract on fewer dollars, maybe. I think Truth's in it for the love of the business, not the money. I don't know. Maybe he's in for the money. I don't know. But they can't ignore the crowd.
Here's the thing. Think they can. I'm going to play devil's advocate. Listeners, you're going to get used to me playing devil's advocate quite a bit here on A Plus Wrestling, here on KPHR Radio. And I'm going to say this. Apparently, TK put R-Truth and others like on an ROI vector and saw what they brought back and how much people cared and how much merch they were selling, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And everything is about return on investment. Now, if that is the truth, and everyone is up in arms right now. Why didn't you care a few weeks ago about Carlito? Why didn't you care a few months, years ago about Sarah Logan? Why didn't you care about R-Truth, buy his merch, watch his matches, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Paul?
To be fair, I don't think anyone cares about Carlito and Sarah Logan, just saying. However, they did like Truth. Apparently, he was one of the biggest sellers this weekend with the Ron Cena shirt. You say about the merchandise thing. He hasn't had any of the merch, I don't believe, apart from a little Jimmy shirt from years ago. So to say that he doesn't sell merch when he's one of the biggest sellers of merch over the weekend from his first shirt he's had in a while is...
But I will say this. We're looking at a very small window, right? Obviously, but I'm just saying, here's the thing. Wrestling fans, show up, be loud, watch, support the people that you like, because now you see what's the possibility, right? And if that angers you, well, guess what? There are options elsewhere, and that's the beauty about the wrestling world right now. It's not just WWE. We got AEW. We got the indies. If the ticket prices are too high, go watch your local indie because they deserve your support. Gentlemen, we've been talking a lot about releases. Let's talk about a debut that happened on Tuesday, and that's Mariah May. And what I want to talk to you about, Matt, specifically is, was it the right move to introduce her in NXT as opposed to rocketing her straight to the main roster?
Yes, absolutely. And I'll tell you why, Boris. It's not that Mariah May needs NXT. It's that NXT needs Mariah May right now. They're losing a lot of female talent specifically. Look at the Money in the Bank ladder match, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. On the female side, boy, there's a lot of recent NXT call-ups in that match, and the NXT women's roster is looking a little thin. So I think Mariah May is going to quickly defeat JC Jane, become the NXT women's champion, and hold that for a little bit. But the sky is the limit for Mariah. I believe I just saw that she got signed by Paradigm, the Hollywood agency. Like, she's not playing around here. This is going to be a Mariah May summer, hot girl summer, Boris. It's about damn time.
Yes, because the hot girls don't get enough love and respect in our lives.
That's what I'm saying.
Dax, thoughts on Marame on NXT?
I absolutely co-sign with Matt. I think she will beat JCJ, and I hope she beats her fast because I can't with the fatal influence. We already talked about this before. They just come off so basic and entitled. It just gets on my nerves. So Mariah is that definitely X factor that is going to be that's missing from NXT right now, and there's going to be great. I can see her doing great matchups with Jada Parker and a few other the women in there, and probably really shaping it up, really making a big impact on there. So I thought for NXT it was great, and who knows, she might not even be there for long. And people complain about how long that these the talent has been there. Well, now they're starting to shoot these people up quickly. So who's to say that she will be there for long? They just need to probably just feel her out, see where her temperature's at within the WWE crowd, and see where it goes from there.
And even
I thought it was yeah, that's a whole nother thing. And I hate when they do this. I'm so tired of them renaming people. It's ridiculous at this point. If they're not afraid to name other companies, why are they also just too afraid to name? Like, it doesn't make sense. You can mention New Japan and Stardom and all these other companies except for AEW for some reason, Threat, but you can't mention, that this person's named Mariah May.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, it's very strange. But let's see what they do with Mariah May. And I agree with you, Matt. She's filling a void, and that void is on the main roster with Stephanie Vaquero, with Jordan Grace, with Roxanne Perez, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That women's main roster right now is stacked beyond belief, and it's great to see. All right, let us jump to AEW. On Wednesday evening, we had 4 hours of AEW TV, and AEW All In is really shaping up to be something special. Gentlemen, these are the 3 announced matches already. For the AEW Men's Championship match, we have Jon Moxley versus Hangman Adam Page. For the AEW Women's Championship match, we have Toni Storm versus Mercedes Moné. And for the AEW International Championship and Continental Championship to be merged, Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada. Matt, how excited are you for this so far?
I'm very excited. This seems to be the biggest show they could possibly throw together. They're really trying to make All In their version of WrestleMania, and this is 3 WrestleMania quality matches here so far. It will be interesting to see what Okada and Omega still have in the tank. Kenny Omega is still incredible. If you watch Dynamite, in part of the 4-hour extravaganza we got on Wednesday, you saw Omega have an awesome fatal 4-way match. Brody King also involved. He looked great in that match. Claudio looked great. Mascara Dorado looked great in that match. But Kenny can still very much go. Okada can still go. They may have slowed down a little bit. That's the one I'm most excited for. But right now, All In looks great. All In looks great. With these 3 matches alone, you have a WrestleMania quality card.
Exactly, especially as people were complaining about this year's WrestleMania card and build-up. Again, we talked about this on last week's show on the podcast version. This is AEW's chance, and they absolutely need to be laser focused and capitalize, because this is when they can gravitate and get those new fans. Paul, you're not so much in the AEW camp right now. What are your thoughts so far on All In?
I want to know what's going to be the main event, because those are 3 main event quality matches. I would say out of the 3, the one that I wouldn't want to see in the main event is for the World Championship, because I have no interest in that storyline whatsoever. I don't like Moxley. I don't know what it. Ever since I didn't like Moxley in WWE, it's just become a. The only time I liked Moxley was when they formed Blackpool Combat Club, when it was Moxley, Danielson, and Regal. And now the other 2 out there, I've just gone back to not liking Moxley. So that has I have no interest in that match whatsoever.
I don't
like Page either.
Well, there you go. But that's the thing, right?
But what I was saying, when I first started watching AEW, I loved Hangman Page. I thought he's brilliant. I wanted him to be the first world champion. Look, it just goes to show how things change as time goes on. I am already liking the build-up for Tony Storm and Mercedes Moné, even though Mercedes Moné has grated on me since she's been in AEW. And I think we already know what Omega and Okada can do. It's going to be a banger.
Absolutely. Dax, your thoughts on the build-up to All In? I know we are still about a month and couple weeks away, but these 3 matches already, WrestleMania quality.
I am going to play the part of Fry from Futurama and be the meme that says, take my money, shut up and take my money right now. Like, those 3 main event quality matches was just worth the price of pay-per-view alone for me. It's just like everybody's saying is basically which one is going to main event. And I actually do like, I'm not like, over the moon about the Moxley and what I'd like to call him now, Magnum TA 2000 version of Hangman Page right now. But I've been following the story for quite some time. I am invested in where that's going to go and how that's going to end. So I am in that sense. But I almost feel like the Kenny Omega, you can't top the Kenny Omega and Okada match. I feel bad if they are going to main event the world title match and they got to follow that match and possibly even Timeless in the CEO. I mean, like, they could possibly do a surprise quality match too. I mean, it's going to be, it's going to be good, but like, they always sometimes they go above and beyond sometimes. So like, I'm looking forward to this alone.
Those 2 being Mercedes Moné and Tony Storm have a lot to prove to a lot of people and a lot of other companies. Let's keep that in mind right there.
Oh yeah, that's significant.
Something that I did want to bring up is Will Ospreay. And now that we're talking about the AEW Men's Championship match with Jon Moxley and Hangman Adam Page, is this Will Ospreay? He's kind of like, the guy in the corner seat in the hotel room, just kind of watching things happen slowly and meticulously. Is his involvement a distraction to the Moxley Page match, or does it add to it? Paul?
I am thinking we may see a Will Ospreay heel turn.
Interesting.
And I think he may join up with the Death Riders.
Interesting. Matt, thoughts on that?
Oh, that is something I haven't considered. I think that would be I don't think that's a bad idea, but I don't think that would work. I think the crowd still wants to cheer Ospreay. Mm-hmm. I think they're stumbling into a pretty good story with the Hangman here. The Hangman really needs to win this title and redeem his character. The Cowboy redemption arc, it's almost complete. I hope they don't pull something out of the hat like that, although that would shock some people. That would be a shocking, interesting heel turn. I hope they don't do that, to be honest with you, Yorkie.
Here's the thing, right? This would be like WrestleMania 17 quality, right? Great build up, great everything, and then right at the very end, they can easily screw things up. I like the idea, Paul, but they would have to be very careful on how they execute it. And to be 100% honest, I do not trust Tony Khan's execution for that at All In, at such a big show, in such an important summer for AEW. This is the summer of AEW. This is their redemption arc. And gentlemen, when we come back after the break, we are going to be talking all things WWE because worlds collide as AAA and WWE go at it. And then later on in Los Angeles on Saturday, we have Money in the Bank. We're going to be previewing both of those shows here on KPHR Radio. And you're listening to A+ Wrestling, and we'll be back after this short break.
This is Daxavier Josiah, the host of ACMG Presents Talk Time Live, the podcast. Talk Time Live is a show that talks about your favorite fandoms with the latest news, discussions, and interviews with some of the hottest names in all of anime, comics, movies, and games, such as...
This is Miley Flanagan, the voice of Naruto.
Hey there, this is Kyle Hebert, the voice of Gohan from Dragon Ball Super.
This is Stephanie Shea, the voice of Sailor Moon.
Visit TalkTimeLive.com and let us help you learn to let go, live life, and love all things ACMG.
Talk Time Live.
And we are back here on KPHR Radio, and you are listening to A Plus Wrestling. This weekend is going to be a very busy weekend for WWE in Los Angeles. There are 2 shows on Saturday, and here on A Plus Wrestling, we're going to be covering both shows. And for that, what you're going to have to do is go over to your favorite podcasting app and search for A Plus Wrestling or A Plus Productions, and subscribe and leave a review if you like the show. But that is how you will be able to listen to our reviews of both shows happening later on this weekend. And once again, that is WWE AAA Worlds Collide and Money in the Bank. Still on the line, Paul Yorke, Matt Ederer, and Daxavier Josiah. Gentlemen, thank you so much for still being here. Just bear with me for just a little longer. But let us start with WWE AAA Worlds Collide. This is quite the important show for many reasons. Matt, are you looking forward to this show?
Absolutely. Very interesting show. Like you said, for a number of reasons. Feels like 1997 Royal Rumble all over again. I'm waiting for Pierre Oath and Cybernetico to show up. But yeah, this is going to be a good one. Vikingo versus Chad Gable has match of the year potential. No exaggeration. That could be easily the best match of the night and could be the best match of 2025. Full stop. But there's some interesting names on this card. I can't wait to check out what WWE, NXT, AAA are able to do.
Dax, are you excited for this card?
Absolutely. I mean, just for Vikingo alone, it's like Matt said, like that match. When I saw that match, I've seen both of them. They're going to gel well. Their ballet dancing is going to be perfect. I can't wait to see that. But just the idea of seeing Psycho Clown in a WWE production, it's just
much to the chagrin of Paul. Psycho Clown in a WWE ring. What
is the word that I've been using since I started watching WWE again, Boris? Do you remember?
There's a lot of words that you've been using. There's unbelievable. Which one specifically are you thinking?
The common one, I think the number one for me is surreal.
Surreal.
I just every time I watch a WWE product as of late, there's just been things that it would never happen during the Vince era, or even just the 80s ideology of TV and production and network rivalries. Like you would never talk about the other companies, and let alone have them come on your show, let alone do title matches on your show, let alone this is just beyond. So I am very much looking forward because this is wrestling history.
Absolutely.
And that's what it comes to.
We haven't even touched on the fact that in a few hours, Trick Williams is going to be facing Elijah, who, used to go under another name in WWE.
You look familiar.
TNA championship on a TNA show. What a world we live in. What a surreal world we live in.
Great time to be a fan.
Absolutely. Paul, what's your excitement level for this Worlds Collide show?
I'm actually really intrigued because aside from obviously it being a Forbidden Door like show, I've never really delved into the world of AAA. I've seen clips and thinking and stuff, so I'm intrigued to see. There's a lot of people on this I've never seen wrestle before.
Yeah.
So see someone fresh is all good.
There's a few names.
Just don't forget about heavy metal. You forgot about heavy metal, Matt.
yes, very good.
There's a few names on this card that I'm really looking forward to, and we'll talk about them in a little bit, but just remember the way that you watch this show at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific is on WWE's YouTube channel, and it's going to be simulcast in both Spanish and English. Not Netflix, not Peacock. It's YouTube for Worlds Collide. All right, let us go down the card and chat about who, just freely talk about this card. Talk about who we think is going to win and the why. So let's start with the LWO versus Octagon Jr., Aerostar, and Mr. Iguana. Matt, you and I have covered AAA here and there on our BAM show, which you can listen to over on the A Plus Wrestling and A Plus Productions podcast network. This is actually a match where I think Mr. Iguana, as for what he is, he's really going to be able to show people how good he actually is. And I'm very, very interested in seeing Octagon Jr. and Aerostar kind of in this WWE environment. Having said that, I also believe that the LWO is going to, show why they're actually good, how good they are. And I think that this match is going to open up a lot of eyes to the LWO.
I agree with you. Yeah, it's kind of like you were hinting at. Mr. Iguana, he's a little bit of a comedy wrestler, but he can back it up. I guarantee, safest bet of the weekend, Mr. Iguana is going to get over with this crowd. People are going to love this guy. He's going to do some funny, cool things. And I can't wait to see the WWE audience and Mr. Iguana, a combo we never thought we'd see. I do think the LWO will win this match. I kind of think the two trios matches are going to be split between WWE and AAA. I'm going to take LWO on this one. It feels like Dragon Lee's kind of getting a little bit of a push again. Triple H has remembered that Dragon Lee exists at least, which is a plus. I'm going to say Dragon Lee pins Mr. Iguana to win this thing. But yeah, Octagon, Aerostar, Lindsay Dorado back in WWE, replacing an injured Joaquin Wilde in this match. Very interesting. I'm going to pick Dragon Lee over Mr. Iguana here.
Love it.
Wait, so if you're saying the two triple threats are going to be split, you're predicting Psycho Clown to win?
Indeed, I am, Yorkie.
You need to get your head tested, man. Right. I'm gonna go the other way because out of the three AAA stars, I have seen Aerostar. I saw him in Chicago a fair few years ago, and he was amazing. So I'm going to back Octagon, Aerostar, Mr. Grant. My only query is, are they going 4 or 6 sides?
It's funny because that's actually something that I was wondering. I'm assuming that we're going to see 4 sides. I think 6 sides would be a little too Vince Russo TNA, Eric Bischoff TNA era for WWE. It might be a little too different. Having said that, I wouldn't be surprised if they whip it out. The 6 sides, that is.
It's just because obviously they had the show last week in Mexico. Is it Mexico? Obviously in Mexico. Where Vikingo won the Mega Championship, and obviously that was a 6-sided ring. But maybe they could always borrow TNA's 6 sides.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Look, AAA typically uses 6 sides, but again, this is WWE's AAA now. Dax, thoughts on this match?
I am going to admit ignorance to the talent of AAA because I'm still learning. Much like Paul, I've not ventured in. I haven't invested in AAA. Like Paul, I'm online or I'm on YouTube and I see clips of it, and I see really cool slow-mo, clips of the high flying and stuff like that. But being that it's LWO, my booking sense says that WWE is going to need them to win to get them over. But I think we're going to have a hell of a match with these guys. And as far as the 6-side, I think that will not be a good idea for those who never wrestled on that 6-sided ring before. That could be a disaster for those because that's not a ring that you could just easily. We've learned this from TNA. That's not a ring that everybody's going to be able to get used to. That's some people will look at that and be so confused as to what corner they need to go to. But I'm looking forward to a really, really cool, great expedition match on all these guys.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the other 6-person match, and that's Legado del Fantasma versus El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr. That's a mouthful. Pagano and a Psycho Clown, Paul's favorite wrestler in the world himself, live in Los Angeles in WWE ring. This match, here's the thing, for the past few weeks, I love the Phantasma, they've been going at it, and I think it's going to get the better of them, and I think that's how Team AAA ends up winning. Paul, you're shaking your head, but I'm sorry, mate. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
It's not. I'm manifesting. I'm like, no. They need the win. Phantasma need the win. I'm going to manifest it.
Not only that, but Psycho Clown will be the MVP of the entire show.
I tell you what, if Team AAA win, I will buy a Psycho Clown t-shirt.
Matt, thoughts on this match?
We also should mention Angel Garza, nephew of Hector Garza, who is also 1997 WWF Lucha affiliated. Lots of tie-ins here, but yeah, I agree with the table, except Yorkie right now. I think El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., that's the son of Dr. Wagner Jr., Dr. Wagner Trace, I believe, Boris. As a resident Latino, you can clean that up for me a little bit. But yes, Psycho Clown is going to get the win because he's the craziest character in this match. I think he will pin probably Berto. I'm going to say Psycho Clown pins Berto. We're going to see Wagner Jr. and Pagano and Psycho Clown win this match.
Yeah, I love this because rather than calling him, Dr. Wagner III or whatever, he's like, if you translate his name, El Hijo del Dr. Wagner Jr., that translates to the son of Dr. Wagner Jr.
Yes, the Boris's Browser History Bowl for your favorites. Big homie, Stephanie Vaquero, Lola Vice, Cheat Tormenta, and Dalise. They need to work really hard because this card actually looks pretty stacked. It's going to be a lot of high-flying, high-impact matches. You worry that this might be the bathroom break, but all four of these women are very talented. Let's hope that's not the case. Biggest match of Lola Vice's career, right? Am I wrong on this one, fellas? It seems like this is a performer who we've loved for a long time, Boris. At the old shop, we did an NXT review. We were big on Lola Vice. Former MMA fighter Valerie Loretta, I believe her name is, and she's been sick since day one, so it's nice to see her in a big spot. I think Vaquer wins. She probably pins Dallas, and I think Vaquer is going to leave with the briefcase a little bit too. Double duty, double W for Stephanie Vaquer.
I like where your head's at, Matt. I really do like where your head's at on that one. Paul, what are your thoughts?
I partially agree with Matt. I do think Stephanie and Lola are going to win this match because, no disrespect to ladies, I don't know them.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's easy. Unless you want to shock people, unless they want to tell the story that, hey, Stephanie Vaquer took an L earlier. She got her ass kicked. Is she ready for Money in the Bank? I can see that story being told. And in fact, that's why I am going to go with the ladies of AAA to win, because I think they're going to tell an underdog story for Stephanie Vaquer to really boost her up as if she needs that rocket even more on the main roster.
I think this is a star-making career for both Lola Vice and Stephanie Vaquer, and this is especially giving what we talked about before about in terms of the morale and how people are going to need to have that step-up ideology, if you will, and mentality. I think they're gonna work their asses off pretty much to get it going, and I think they're gonna stand out. I think they're going to amazingly stand out. We already seen what Stephanie can do. We've seen what Lola can do. They're going to work their tails off just to make sure that we get to see them the way that they want us to see them.
That's exactly it right there. This next match is going to be very interesting, and a lot of people, I've seen every person in this match have a good case to win. Let's talk about it because it's for the NXT North American Championship. Your champion, Ethan Page, is going up against Ray Fenix, Javon Evans, and Laredo Kid. Matt, I'm going to start with you. Who do you think is going to win this match?
I think it's actually going to be Ray Fenix. Though he is on the main roster, I think they're going to use this as kind of a sly excuse to send him down to NXT for a couple months. Again, just because NXT kind of needs the bodies right now. I see Ray Fenix winning this title. I would put money on Laredo Kid or Javon Evans. For some reason, I feel like Ethan Page is the only guy who doesn't have a chance. So watch him win, of course. But I'm picking Ray Fenix in this one.
Dax, thoughts?
I am actually thinking Ethan's going to remain with that title in this one. I think this is not Javon's time to get it, and this is not the show to get it, in my opinion. I want him to have a bigger platform for him to get that title. I think this is Ethan's like perfect AAA type of heel. So he's the type of heel that they'll throw bottles and coins at in a lot of ways. So I think he'll play into that. I think he would be great to win that title. I think it'll be a great match nonetheless. I think these guys are going to showcase in a major way.
Absolutely. Paul, thoughts on this match?
I think what would have made it even more interesting is if they put the cruiserweight title on the line, the AAA cruiserweight title.
Yeah.
Because they made sure to mention that on NXT, that Laredo Kid was the AAA cruiserweight champion. So why not incorporate that into the show?
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, so have a winner-take-all match. That way, if you put a winner-take-all match, that gives Laredo Kid a bigger chance of... Well, I don't think he's going to win because his belt's not on the line. I think he's going to be eating the pin. I think Javon Evans is going to win. I know it's not where you wanted to win, but it's a statement win for him.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad either if he won. But, I just would rather have him with a bigger platform. But if he wins, I'll support that.
Yep. Let us move on to the AAA Mega Championship match. Your new champion, El Hijo del Vikingo, is going up against Chad Gable. Matt, you said it earlier. This match has the potential to not only be the match of the night, not only be the match of the weekend, but the match of the year. I have really high hopes for this match, but I'm very scared about this booking because I really do believe that Chad Gable is somehow, probably with the help of El Gran Americano, aka Sam Adonis, who I'm telling you, Sam Adonis is going to be wearing the Gran Americano costume that night to help Chad Gable win.
Who is, sorry? Sam Adonis?
Sam Adonis is Corey Graves' brother.
I know, I'm messing with you. No, I think is what I think. I think Chad Gable's not going to compete in the match. I think he's going to say he's injured, but El Grande Americano is willing to pull double duty for that weekend, like Stephanie Vaquer is. And then I think El Grande Americano will take the Mega Championship from El Vikingo.
Matt?
I think.
That's a very interesting call, Yorkie. I like where your head's at on that, but I do think Vikingo is going to win this match. It will be because WWE is going to get the majority of the wins probably. Ray Phoenix is going to win. Vaquer is going to win, in my opinion. So they're going to win a trios match, and I do feel like this is going to be one that the kind of the bone they throw AAA. And there's a chance that Grande Americano, Chad Gable, wins the Money in the Bank. The men's Money in the Bank ladder match is kind of up in the air. I kind of don't know who to pick, but I just can't wait to see this match. Vikingo in a WWE ring happening right away. That's very, very interesting stuff. Vikingo is a little injury prone. Throughout his career, he's proven to be something of a Band-Aid, as they say. So I just hope he stays healthy long enough to impress, which should be like 2 minutes. He shouldn't need more than a second in this match to show people just how special he is. This one is going to be great. But I'm thinking.
Yep. Dax, thoughts?
Like I said, the minute I found out that these two were going to be wrestling, I was immediately saying this. This is the reason why I want to watch this event. I think this has the ability to be, I was about to say game of the year. And you know why? Because those two are like video game characters come to life. And that is the type of match that we're going to get from these two. I am so looking forward to this. I think Vikingo, because now, if you haven't been watching AEW, not many people have seen him actually wrestle. And this is a great time to showcase him on this platform. And I think they need to make him look as great as they could possibly can. I don't know how they're going to get it out there with Chad Gable doing what he's been doing lately, but he needs to showcase him in a big way to get people to want to watch, the WWE crowd to watch AAA and invest in it more.
Absolutely. That's a great call there as well. And let's be realistic here. Out of most people on the roster, Vikingo is probably the one that you want on the WWE main roster sooner rather than later, along with Psycho Clown, obviously. Paul with the desk there. I love it. So that is
sorry, I'm looking.
That is WWE AAA Worlds Collide. Again, watch it 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific on WWE's YouTube channel. Not Netflix, not Peacock. It is YouTube. All right. Later that night, down the street at the Intuit Dome, WWE is putting on Money in the Bank. And this is one of the more interesting cards. This is one of the more interesting events with one of the most interesting cards because the names, they range in terms of how you see them in the actual card. And this is one of the shows where the match order really is important because that will determine what could possibly happen down the line. So let's talk about that, and let's get to a match that I would say is a bit on the safer side. That's the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship match. Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch. Paul, who do you think is going to win this match?
Becky Lynch. I think they've had Lyra win the last couple. It's only fair that she, unless Becky's wanting to put Lyra over, and Becky doesn't challenge for the Intercontinental title at all.
I have a feeling that this is going to set off the Becky Lynch Bayley summer program for SummerSlam. So I'm going to have to agree with you, and I'm going to have to say that Becky Lynch is going to win this match. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. So, just to cross the T's and dot the I's here, this is a last chance match. If Lynch loses, she can no longer challenge for the Intercontinental title as long as Valkyria is champion. If Lyra loses, Lyra will be forced to raise Becky's hand and acknowledge her, Boris, as the new tribal chief, a.k.a. the better woman. So, yes, I do think Becky's going to win. It looks like we're getting Becky versus Bayley this summer. That's kind of been the rumor. I think it's going to be an Intercontinental title feud, and they're going to try to do their Savage Steamboat thing. And, I think this is Becky's to lose. I'm for sure picking Becky Lynch as well.
Dax?
I definitely, as much as I've been really warming up to Lyra Valkyria, I also do believe it's going to be Becky Lynch that wins this from a storyline narrative standpoint. But I think they're going to tear the house down with that match. I think they've been doing really, really well. We've been seeing Lyra improve more and more, both on the mic and in the ring. I'm looking forward to this match.
Agreed. I am as well. All right, let us jump to the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Very interesting field here. As Matt mentioned earlier, tons of call-ups, tons of new names here. We have my girl Julia versus Roxanne Perez versus Rhea Ripley versus Alexa Bliss versus Naomi versus Stephanie McCare. Matt, it's on you. Who's taking it?
Yeah. I really think this one is wide open. I could legitimately see all 6 performers winning this. No winner would shock me. Having said that, I've attached my wagon to Stephanie McCare. I really think that WWE loves her, rightfully so. She's incredibly talented. The charisma, the presence, the poise that she has in the ring really stands out. I think they're going to push McCare to the moon. Luna! Boris, is that moon in Spanish?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, my friend.
Very good.
There we go. Paul, who's taking and who's going to be the woman Money in the Bank winner?
Now, I have already said that I don't think Stephanie McCare will win Money in the Bank. I love her. Don't get me wrong. I think she's amazing. I love Julia. Roxanne is an amazing wrestler. I think it's too early for any of those 3 to win Money in the Bank. So you've got Rhea doesn't need it. I think Rhea's going to be challenging Io at Evolution. But I don't think she needs the briefcase to do that. I think Bliss is a bit locked up with whatever she's going on with Charlotte. Something's going on with that. So the one who I think her character's been amazing since the heel turn, and it leads to so many avenues for her. I think Naomi is going to be Miss Money in the Bank.
Good choice, and I agree with you there. I like how you kind of logically put that down. Love that. Naomi is Paul's choice. Dax, how about you?
You know, I was going to go wild card on this because the good part about this match is that there's so many potential people that you can't really tell. It's not one of those things where you definitely know who's going to win because they can pull something out of the rug, out of the blue. I was going to go wild card and say Julia out of the blue because they haven't really showcased her. But then Paul went up and said something that made logical sense. So I'm leaning on Paul's side and agreeing with him on Naomi because they've been pushing her incredibly and she's been earning it incredibly. I think it would be great for her to carry that around.
Excellent. All right, I'm going with Matt. I think Stephanie Vaquera is going to win this match. I think they're doing the underdog story. She's taking an L earlier in the day. Can she compete? Yes, she can, and she's going to win it. All right, let's talk about the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. We have Solo Sikoa versus LA Knight versus Seth Rollins versus Penta versus Andrade versus El Gran Americano. Paul, who do you think is going to win?
So I tried to use the logic. I try to use the logic in the same as the men's, and yeah, I couldn't. I'm picking Seth.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm picking Seth because I think there's no. I can't get behind LA Knight. I think his time has passed in the world main title scene. Solo, I think if he were to do it, he'd use it against Jacob. Penta and El Grande, no, and Andrade is there for the bumps.
Dax, who do you think is going to be winning the men's?
Steph says storyline purpose stuff. It makes more sense for him to get it. I think he's got a lot of other people to help him get it. It worked. It makes sense to the storyline. I'm going Seth.
Matt.
Now, to agree with my esteemed colleagues here, really look at those names. It really feels like Seth is going to be a minus 1,000 favorite on FanDuel coming into this one. Seth Rollins for sure.
I agree. I think we're all in agreement with Seth Rollins here. It makes the most sense story-wise. But gentlemen, will we be seeing a cash-in that night? Because I think it's very important which match is going to be closing that night. And the order that we're going in right now is the order that I think the matches are going to be going in outside of the women's Money in the Bank. I think that'll open. But closing the show will be Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso versus Logan Paul and John Cena, where both men's champions are going to be in the same ring at the same time. And they could be KO'd at the same time. So real quick, who do you think is going to win this match? And do you think there's going to be a cash-in? Paul, let's start with you.
I think Jey Uso is going to pin Logan Paul.
Cash-in?
Failed cash-in.
Ooh. Failed Seth cash-in. Oh, there we go. Ooh. Matt?
Spicy. The only way I see a cash-in is if Solo Sikoa wins and steals the world title from Jey Uso, and then we get another Bloodline v. Bloodline feud. Kind of hope that doesn't happen. I'm saying no cash-in. Seth holds the briefcase for a couple months, and Cody Rhodes pins John Cena. Babyfaces win.
Excellent. I like that. Dax, thoughts?
Cody and Uso win. They get beat down abruptly at the post segment. It gets cashed in
with Seth taking it.
Yes, Seth is taking Jay's.
I agree with you. That's my call. I think Cody Rhodes and Jey are going to take it. There's going to be shenanigans. Seth comes in, cashes in. Good night, LA. That's what I think is going to happen at Money in the Bank this Saturday. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this week. I'm sure that we will be chatting next week. Just remember, here on KPHR Radio, you'll be able to hear us on Mondays. Yes, that's right. That is Mondays at 5:30 p.m. here on KPHR Radio. But that's not the only place that you can hear us. You can listen to us weekly on the A+ Wrestling Podcasting Network. That is where we put all of our wrestling shows. And if you want to listen to more than just wrestling, we also talk sports and entertainment, and that's on the A+ Productions Podcasting Network. Just go to your favorite podcasting app and search for A+ Wrestling or A+ Productions. If you want to learn all things about our brand, just go to aplusproductions.com. Something that we love to do is we love turning things around to you, the listeners, and the best way to get your feedback and join in on the conversation is by going to facebook.com and searching for the Facebook group A+ Productions. That's facebook.com and searching for A+ Productions. Gentlemen, we have a very busy summer of wrestling coming. I am really looking forward to it, and I would know other people would I rather spend it than with all of you and all of our listeners. Again, thank you so much for listening to us here on KPHR Radio and on the A+ Wrestling Podcasting Network. On behalf of the entire group and on behalf of Paul, Matt, Dax, thank you so much for listening, but most importantly, stay tranquilo.